Another Mox is being printed on MTG Arena. It's me, it's CGB, that's you. This is CovertGoBlue, and today we're talking about new cards that are coming to Magic the Gathering Arena. In the Alchemy set that is dropping apparently on the 28th of February, right around the corner, 6 days from the day I record this. Oh, I know! Alchemy! I know. And don't worry, I still have similar mixed feelings about Alchemy, and I'm not really into it as long as Specialize as a mechanic and all of those obnoxious cards from the Commander Legends Baldur's Gate set are in it that have the same art as the paper but do different things. Yeah, I know. It feels slimy, but they have done better, and the format that I play the most that uses Alchemy cards is Historic Brawl, and I would argue that Oracle of the Alpha, a recent printing for Alchemy, is one of the best Historic Brawl cards of all time, adding a ton of fun to my games in the format. So we do have to keep an eye on the Alchemy cards and look for bangers for our Historic Brawl piles, and I think they just announced one. This video will go over the 3 cards that were previewed for the Alchemy upcoming release for Phyrexia. All will be one, which is apparently once again next week, February the 28th. The other thing that we have to keep in mind is that these cards are historic legal. Why does that matter? Since when does CGB care about the format historic? Well, 2 things have happened in the last year that are starting to make me look at historic as a part of future content. Number 1 is this. The stats released by Wizards of the Coast showing that Historic, the orange line here, is the 2nd most popular format on Magic the Gathering Arena. That's a large player base that might be interested in content about the format. So that makes me go, maybe I can get in on content. But the bigger reason, the actual reason, is that the Lord of the Rings set is going directly to Historic, and it's not going to be standard legal or Alchemy legal. That is coming out on June 20th, and yeah, I've got to start thinking about my historic content, because there's no way, guys, I'm going to miss the Lord of the Rings set, and I'd like to explore it in a 60 card format as well as a 100 card format that is Historic Brawl. So what card has me all amped up today? Quicksilver Lapidary. This is a blue and a red for an uncommon 1/1 Phyrexian Artificer. When it enters the battlefield, conjure a card named Mox Opal into your hand. It's an uncommon. And for those of you Zoomers who have no idea, it conjures this mythic into your hand. This, like, sometimes $100 mythic into your hand. You can feel the value for your uncommon wild card. Card was so good it's still banned in Modern. Mox Opal, 0 mana, legendary artifact, mythic, metalcraft, tap, add 1 mana of any color. Activate only if you control 3 or more artifacts. It's important to note that legendary artifact. So blinking your Quicksilver Lapidary and making a bunch of these, it will only have a lot of benefit if you have artifact entering the battlefield triggers. What decks want this in Historic right now? I'm not sure, because I haven't played much Historic. What decks want this in Alchemy right now? I have no idea. None. But I can think of some decks that would definitely love to play this card in Historic Brawl. First of all, Galazeth Prismari, Metalcraft, easy. There are also a bunch of commanders that often make big piles of tokens. Is Niv Mizzet Perun a good fit for the card? Because you basically need any mana advantage you can, and you try to make a bunch of treasures before you deploy your Niv. But Galazeth for sure, even when you don't have Metalcraft, you can still use the Mox as a mana rock. Seems to fit right in. Another one is Joy Ra, Weatherlight Captain, the classic version. This one says whenever you cast a historic spell, draw a card. So you conjure up your Mox Opal, you hold it in hand, and you play it after you drop Joy for 0 mana and you draw. This is always looking for more 0 mana artifacts to trigger it. And speaking of a commander who does that, Kaikar Wind's Fury is an excellent home for this as well, where playing your Mox Opal after your Kaikar will immediately make a spirit that you can sack for mana, getting you a little bit ahead. The Kaikar combo versions that storm off will definitely enjoy having Quicksilver Lapidary and Mox Opal in them. And so will any deck that can do this combo. Teferi, Time Raveler, and Displacer Kitten, along with enough artifacts to create Metalcraft, creates a bit of a time loop. You see, you can bounce the Mox Opal back to your hand with Teferi Time Raveler after tapping it for mana. You draw a card, then you replay it, and you use Displacer Kitten to flicker off the cast trigger of the Mox Opal, the Teferi, resetting it so it can bounce the Opal and do it Again, this can draw your deck. Like this, that's cool. That's fun. And then if you have Metalcraft, which you should after drawing your deck, it produces infinite mana. So you win game if the timer doesn't get you first. So yeah, if there's a deck playing this combo that can run the Quicksilver Lapidary, you probably want to be doing that. So I am very excited about this card. I think it's really sweet that it's an uncommon, and I think that this is 100% Alchemy done right. Bring back the kind of our boomer cards that are too dangerous to introduce into the format on their own and get people a chance to play with them who have probably never played with them before. And for boomers like me, give me the feels. Give me the feels of playing Mox Opal again and the all-powerful feeling of having those very explosive turns. I think that that is absolutely epic. I'm glad that this exists. I'm even more happy that it's an uncommon, because if they start making the sweet cards uncommons instead of mythics, that's a big deal. This could have easily been a mythic in the set. A few other cards were revealed. Let's go over them. They are pretty sweet. Some of you might like them even more. Phyrexian Harvester. I guess we're going to do the whole cycle of these, and I'm here for it. Red, 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 red. Phyrexian Horror Mythic, 5/5 Menace. Whenever Harvester is dealt damage, seek that many non-land cards. At the beginning of your next end step, discard those cards. So at first it looks pretty bad because it has to be damaged to get all these cards that you seek into your hand, and then you don't really have time to play them. But I think it's a lot better than it looks. For one thing, red doesn't have many things that add this much devotion to the battlefield, and there is I believe the Mogus, the devotion red card, is on Arena, so stuff like that is very good. There's a lot of ways to double and increase your damage in the command zone for Historic Brawl. And the thing that I think that this could be sneaky good at is, say that you just have a lightning strike, but the opponent doesn't have targets and they're at 22 life. You can just, on end step, on the opponent's end step, strike your own Harvester to seek 3 cards, untap, and you don't discard them till the beginning of your next end step, so you have a chance to play all those cards. Turning your lightning strike, or your lightning bolt if you use some of the other conjuring cards, into a draw 3, into like something closer to an ancestral recall, that sounds really sweet to me. Is it that easy to do? Probably not, but you can also do it with a bunch of other things like Flame Sweep, Fiery Cannonade, Earthquake type effects that deal damage to all creatures, and you can just keep making your Harvester get you more cards. I think that sounds really fun. I really want to try it. I'm excited about it. I don't see this as a major player unless maybe sideboard in the 60 card formats, but in Historic Brawl, I think that there are plenty of red decks that this goes in. And then next up is Spawning Pod. This is a birthing pod callback. For 2 and a green, you get an artifact at rare. 1 tap sack creature, seek creature with mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrificed creature's mana value, and put that card onto the battlefield. So Phyrexia, in addition to its other types, activate only as a sorcery. This card can be very, very sweet in Historic Brawl, especially if you have kind of the one seek things off your commander. If your commander, say, costs 5 mana and you only have 1 card in your whole deck that costs 6 mana and it's a very good card, then Spawning Pod will always hit that card when you sack your commander. So you can set up some very interesting ways to go about things. You can also play this card fairly in a deck like Grella, or some value-based deck like that. A Xanathar might want more pod effects since their commander often gets killed, but Spawning Pod should be able to do a lot of work along a lot of green decks that are kind of a little more value and combo themed, and I look forward to messing around with Spawning Pod. I think it's a very sweet card. I might use it like with a 6 mana green commander to go get a Tyrannus Rex directly onto the battlefield. That sounds fun. So all of these cards to me look like Alchemy done right, and it's a reason that I'm very excited to try these out on Arena next week and maybe throw a couple wild cards at them. I never buy the packs for Alchemy. I don't really care if it's a draftable experience. I just craft like one of each card that I need for Historic Brawl, and we'll see how that changes with Historic getting Lord of the Rings in the near future. I hope that you enjoyed this look at the upcoming Alchemy cards, because someone's got to read them. It may as well be me, CGB. Thanks. You're cool. Bye.